Hi, I'm William Tenholder. As you probably know by now, I won thousands of games around the world in competition and online, and I'd like to bring you this first game of my 1500 series. This is oh man, incredibly complicated, complex game where you will learn so much just from the magnificence of these moves. Uh, on both parts, both players played magnificent moves. So this is a very traditional opening, Scotch opening, and so they, play the c3. So let's go through this. I really love this game, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. They played a lot of good moves here. Um, I say they, it might have been a computer. Um, they just played perfectly. And so it was a very exciting game. And as you can see how we developed, their queen came out, and I was faced with some decisions. I liked the bishop out to c5. Felt that was pretty strong. So let's go through this fairly quickly. Now you can see that they've lined up an attack already on the weakest pawn on the board at f7. So how do we deal with that? Well, as usual, just bring out your queen. They can't do anything about it. Okay, so now the queen goes back for some other attacks, duties, and so now we go on our little attack, counterattack, and you know, this is it's a fun game. Queen comes in for check, and here's a chance to exchange queens, right? So we do. We exchange queens, and let's see who can come out better. Check by the bishop, defended by the knight, and that's the best move there. The d6 pawn to develop that bishop and protect the knight. So let's see how this just unfolds. A lot of moves here, a lot of intricacies. You know, they're pushing my bishop out, but I like the bishop over there because I may castle on the queen side. And so now my bishop is taking advantage of the weak white squares. Uh, well, they come up with a pawn pin fork, I should say. And so how do you deal with that? Well, you try to attack something. So they take, I take with check. Now this is the beginning of some beautiful chess. Then I take their knight. So I just got two pieces. And they check the king. King takes the pawn. Um, they're running out of steam a little bit. You count up the pieces, it's pretty equal, I would say, overall. However, look at that. Now there's a possible checkmate combination in that corner. Boy, I thought about this for a couple of minutes. I was trying to think there must be some way to get a checkmate. They brought in their rook, and I thought, well, I can't go wrong with bringing in my rook. They tried to kick one of my knights out, but there was check. This is very complex. I'm telling you, I was really thinking there was a possible checkmate here. I still think there was. At this point, there probably was something there, right? Because then, um, yeah, could have been knight to g3 check. But the king comes up. I thought about it a lot, but this is the way it progressed. So the king moved up, and yeah, I thought, well, it's time to exchange pieces. So we exchanged, and I felt like I was up. Obviously they had three pieces to work with and some pawns. I would say I was up a full piece here, and so that was a great way to lock in those knights, get control, and so they made some moves. I made some moves. The big thing was to activate this bishop and just keep on trying to find some checkmate. It got very complex, and I was thinking, how can I get a checkmate here? I thought, well, this could be a checkmate, right? They moved, attacked my rook. I thought, well, no, it wasn't checkmate. It would have been checkmate if my bishop was on d8. Okay, so king takes, otherwise it would have been checkmate. I'm quite sure of that. I don't think the king had yeah. So I needed to, if we look back, if I wanted checkmate here, I needed to move my bishop first. But then they've got the attack on my rook. But that wouldn't have mattered. So I think there was a checkmate right there, right? If my bishop moves down, they take the rook. I move the pawn up. I believe that's checkmate. So yeah, there's a good lesson to be learned. Um, there were a couple of ways I could have gotten checkmate, right? So maybe if I had even moved the other pawn up, checkmate, right? So move the G pawn up, but that could be taken. It was complicated. It was like a really awesome, complicated game. Check by the rook. King moves up. I'm still thinking, where's there a checkmate? There must be a checkmate here. I thought, okay, get my bishop on the job. But they had a check. And so I had to deal with the check. They took the rook. So, yeah, I just didn't find the checkmate on time. So I took with the pawn, and rook takes, and we're getting down to an equal position. So we're moving, and equal. It's pretty equal, except I have a better chance, I think, uh, in this position. And so as it turned out, we were going to either draw or the bishop would take. The bishop took, then I had the chance to take, and they moved and take, and so this is a winning game now, right? So this is how you win, obviously. King comes in, and I can't queen because of the bishop, so I set it up so I could do that. That gives me a possible queen or take the bishop. In this case, bishop takes, king takes, and now we can just march in, right? We're going to be queening first. Queen. Okay, so that's the end of the game right there. Once you have the queen, you can control the entire board. They cannot queen at this point. So that's a win. And it went on a few more moves, but this is, basically a checkmate situation, because when the pawn queens on a1, it's check, and then the other pawn cannot queen either, and there's going to be a checkmate sequence. So, yeah, it was a great game, by both players, really. But in the end, black wins here. Yeah, just faster to pawn. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this master class game. Very complicated, very enjoyable. Have a good evening.